Welcome to the video. Now in this video we'll be creating custom controller for namespace migration. We'll be migrating from one resources from one namespace to other namespace in Kubernetes. So for that we will need Kubernetes cluster, right? So we'll create a Kubernetes cluster now. It's a single node, single master Kubernetes cluster. I have the code. I'll give the GitHub repo also. You can also use it. I'm creating it. Once it is created, let's run Ansible to create the cluster. So in this video, we will be creating custom controller, our own CRD to implement namespace migration from one namespace to other namespace. Like we'll be migrating the resources, deployment, pod, secrets, config map from one namespace to other namespace uh, through controller. Yeah, so let's dive into that. But before that, let's create the cluster. Once it is created, once the nodes are created using Terraform, we'll configure Kubernetes cluster using Ansible. Yeah, so let's do it. Nodes are created. Now let's run Ansible command and see if it works. Still, SSH communication is not happening because user script is running there in server, right? So it might take some time for the script to run and for it to copy the SSH key. So it will take some time. So we'll wait for some time and then we'll run Ansible. That's how Kubernetes configuration will work. So these are the nodes. These are the 4 nodes which I created using Terraform. It is running now. So once it is completed, I'll show you like 2 nodes, one master, one worker, and also we have NFS server configured, and we have storage class also. For stateful set migration, we are using for stateful set migration. We have configured store NFS also. So we have configured storage class for that. So let's look into the code now. So this is the migration code which I have written in Python. If you see here, it will try to fetch kubeconfig from the machine, and if we see, it will try to delete the deployment before deleting the namespace. It will try to delete the namespace. Try to delete the deployment stateful set, and also delete pod if at all if it is there, and also it will delete PVC. As we are using NFS, right? So it is not bound to a particular node. So we can delete it, and config map also it will delete, and also it will delete secret, and after that it will delete the namespace. So before, these are the checks before deleting the namespace, and these are some things which I have written here. So if it is not able to delete the namespace, it will throw an error. We will try to catch the error and throw it. And this is the namespace migration code. So this is how it will migrate from namespace to namespace. If I see here, yeah, so this is deployment migration. This is stateful migration, and this is PVC migration. And if it is local PV, then it will skip. It will not migrate that. It will skip that local storage PV. Yeah, this is the code for that. And it is config map. This is config map migration, and this is secret migration. One thing is missing here in this is a service migration. I tried service migration also, but IP conflict is coming because it is not able to migrate the same service, because IP will be used again, right? Same IP will be used, so it is not able to migrate it. Probably it will be able to migrate the load balancer service. Maybe, I guess that I have not tried that, but probably we can try that. Once migration is complete, this is the output which it will give, that from source now namespace to the target namespace, it has migrated. And our CRD, so our control will watch for migrations, like whatever is deployed in the source namespace, it will try to migrate to target namespace immediately. Yeah, once this is done, once our Python code is written here, There's nothing we can do here, but we have to write the CRD. So this is the CRD. This is the API version which I have given, and this is the name which I want to give, group name. Yeah, and this is the short name which I want to give for my resource NS migration, right? This short name, like I can get cubes, it will get NS migration. I should get the resource. So this is the short name which I have given. After CRD is created, we have to create the resource. We have to create the resource using this file. Everything remains same, like it's a normal deployment kind of a thing. After resource is deployed, we have to we no before CRD is created, we have to give permissions, right? So we have to create a service account, and then you have to add some cluster role and cluster role binding for the CRD, for the controller. So this is the complete service account and cluster role binding for our controller. Once this is done, then we'll have to create the deployment, and after deployment is created, we have to create the migration resource. This is the migration resource, like name we are giving migration test, and this is, so we have to specify the source namespace and target namespace in this. Once it is mentioned, then we have to migrate it. So this will take care of this control will try to watch this thing. Once it is done, then we can test it by using by deploying testing resource, like this is the config map secret and deployment file of Nginx, and also PVC and stateful set. Everything is there in this namespace, in this file. So it is creating in source NS, and we have to migrate it to target NS, right? So that's how the migration will happen. But once the Python code is written, so we have to build an image, right? So for building the image, this is the Docker file which I have written. Using this Docker file, we'll build the image and try to push it to our Docker hub. Once it is pushed, we can pull in like this. We can pull in like this. We can specify the name, and then we can deploy the controller. That's how the overall functionality will happen. So that's all. We'll go through we'll go through building of our Docker file. Yeah, chalo. Let's see, Docker is there in our Docker is not there, sir. So Docker is not there. So we can directly install Docker using this command. Once Docker is installed, let's check the version. Or let's try to run Docker from normal user. So it will not allow for us. Let's see. It will not allow, right? Docker PSP52, it will say you have to be root. So let's try to run Docker as normal user. Let's give permission for Docker sock using this command. Yeah, so once this is done, then we have to pull the repository from our GitHub repo. I've already pushed it into GitHub repo in NS migration. This is the GitHub repo which I've already pushed. Let's copy it and clone it in our local laptop. Once this is done, let's get into NS migration folder, and then let's build it using this command. I've already pasted in my already pasted these commands in my repository. Let's build it. Let's name it as NS migration controller. Give tag as 1v1. Once image is built, it cannot be run in Docker. It cannot be run using Docker because it will try to fetch the kubeconfig file and it will not be able to find it. So, control will be in crash loop in crashing state always due to that. So it is recommended that you should run only in Kubernetes. Once it is built, let's try to get the images. It is built, right? So Docker, let's tag it. Once tagged, let's try to push it. For that we need to log in, right? So for that we need to log in. So let's log in. This is my user ID. And this is my password. I entered my password. Now we have logged in, right? So successfully. Let's try to push it. Let's try to get Docker up. We have pushed the image. So 1 minute back. So this is the image which we have pushed. Let's try to create CRDs, RBAC, and controller. Let's try to create the controller. Use root. Once this is done, let's try to create. Let's deploy the controller and let's see. We have build the application. Now let's deploy it. But let's deploy the RBAC first. Once RBAC is created, let's deploy the controller. This is the controller. And we are using the image which we have already pushed just now. Let's create the controller. Before creating the controller, let's create the CRD. Now this is the CRD. Let's create the CRD first, and then let's create the controller. CRD is created. Now let's create the controller. Once controller is created, let's see if it is running. The controller is running. Now let's create the dummy resources. In this file I have kept it. Testing resources. So it will create stateful pod and it will create secret config map and deployment. It will create deployment. It will create deployment. It will create secret config map. It will create secret. Also, it will create stateful set. I want to migrate all these things into new namespace, right? So for migration, I want to create CID resource. For creating the CID resource, let's see. This is CID resource. I want to migrate from source to target, right? So I specified the namespaces. Let's see now. Let's create the resources and let it create. Resources created. Now let's create the resource CID resource. This is CID resource. Once it is created, let's see if all the resources are created. From source, it has deleted. It has deleted. It has migrated from source. By the time we could check, it has migrated. So let's try to do it again. Let's try to delete the namespace. Target namespace. Let's delete the resource CID resources also. Once it's deleted, let's apply again. Resources are created. Is there in source namespace, right? So it is there in source namespace. Now when I apply the resource of CID, it will directly migrate it to new namespace, target namespace. I'll apply the CID now. Now let's check. It has migrated. It has started migrating. Is migrated. So I mentioned this. It should delete the older namespace. So let's check if the namespace is there. Has deleted the namespace. So that's how I wanted it. So it has deleted the namespace. So our testing is completed. So it is migrating from one namespace to other namespace, and even the stateful set also. If we check PVC. PVC also is migrated. So anyway, it is NFS. I've configured NFS client, right? NFS client and NFS storage for our application, right? So anyway, it doesn't matter. So but overall, the migration is happening from one namespace to other namespace. It's deleted all the resources from namespace 1. Migrated to target.ns, right? Target-ns. So it has migrated from source to target. So this is what I wanted to achieve. This is the